All right, we're almost done. We're getting close with our sugar skull. We've been learning lots of cool stuff like radial symmetry, doing some cool outlines and artworks with shapes and lines and florals, making a symmetrical design. But now you have stuff hanging off the edges. If you have a good sugar skull, you have stuff hanging off the edges, like these flowers. We need to cut those off, okay? First things first, though, we need to convert shapes and outlines. We need to expand them, all right? So what we're going to do to cut these off, it won't cut lines, it will cut shapes. So we need to make sure any outlines or lines that we have are shapes. We need to expand them, except for the skull, all right? So we want to make sure that skull is locked. So I'm going to open up my layer with my artwork. I'm going to scroll all the way down the bottom, and I'm going to turn off just the skull. Leave everything else, just the skull outline. You don't want that showing, so I turn the eyeball off to make it invisible. Now I'm going to do Command A, which is select all, A for all, Command A, and I'm going to come up to Object. I'm going to expand appearance. And then I'm going to do Object and expand. And click OK. What that does is anything that was a line, it turned it into a shape. Right? That's what we need. I'm going to turn my skull back on. I'm going to select it. I can click that little radial, that little circle right there, and you notice there's a square next to it. It means it's selected. I want to copy it, because when we do the crop tool in Pathfinder, we're going to use the skull to cut the things off, and that skull shape's going to disappear. So we're going to need a copy. So I'm going to Command C to copy, and Command F to paste a copy in front. So you can see here I have two skulls, and I want to bring this new copy to the front. So Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. Now you can see that I have a skull covering everything up. If yours is see-through, right, just make sure you have a fill that is white. White fill, black stroke. Okay. Now that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shift click on everything that is hanging out side of my skull, and the skull itself. It's selected also. These have a bunch of little parts to them. How was it that I was easily able to select them? It's because I grouped them, all right? That is under Object and Group. So if you don't have that and you want to go back and do that to make clicking them easier, just hide that skull and then select all the parts of the flower and do Object Group for each one. All right, so everything's selected, the skull and all the flowers that are hanging off the edges. I'm going to come over to my Pathfinder tool. If yours is missing from here for some reason, it can be under Window, Pathfinder. All right. So I have my Pathfinder tool. There are some options here. If I move my mouse across them, we have Divide, Trim, Merge, and the one we want, Crop. So I'm going to click that, and you will notice it cut off everything on the outside. I'm going to click out into an empty area here and show you one little gotcha. You'll notice that the flower is kind of going into the outline of the skull. We want the outline of the skull to be on top of everything. That's why we made this copy down here in the bottom right of my layer. So I'm going to go back to my layers, making sure that it's open. I'm going to scroll to the bottom, click on the radial to select the skull, and then Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. Boom. All right. We no longer want the white fill because we want to see our cool artwork. So with our fill selected, we're going to choose this first option with the red line, no fill, keeping only the stroke. And now we have, voila, a cool sugar skull with our artwork cut off and a nice outline all the way around it. In the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to convert this into a live paint object and use the live paint bucket to do some fancy coloring.